Here, can I throw a mic on you guys? Wherever you want, probably on the collar somewhere works the best.
That sounds good.
That's all right. Awesome. Thanks. Good luck.
Thanks.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50. Please, play responsibly.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
Well, it is a beautiful day in Leduc, Alberta, and the Greater Capital Region as we are here live in the Leduc Curling Club to bring you the 2022 Boston Pizza Alberta Curling Tour Championship men's final event. And here we are, Evan Asmussen and Jeff Hoffert, joining you here in the third end with a 2-0 lead for Team Bottcher over Team Sturmay.
Yeah, we saw a very, very clean end in the first. Just a simple blank. All teams just hits throughout the end, and then the hit and roll out at the end for the blank. And in the second end, we actually saw Team Bottcher drawing to sit 4 at one point. That shot was not made, and they sat 3 for most of the end. Karsten Sturmay made a double on his last one, and a hit and stay from Brendan Bottcher gave them their 2-point lead. And now here we are in the third. Team Sturmay with the hammer, throwing the red stones, and Team Bottcher throwing the yellow stones. They're just deciding right now whether this stone is in the house or in the free guard zone. With that 2-up lead, Team Bottcher would elect to hit that if they were able to, if it was in the house.
Now, if you've been watching all week here at the Alberta Tour Championship, or if you're just joining us for today's game, we'll run you through the lineup here for Team Sturmay. We have Caleb Borst throwing lead, Glenn Venance, Chris Kennedy, and Karsten Sturmay. And for the Team Bottcher rink, we have Patrick Jansen throwing third stones, Bradley Thiessen, and Karik Martin here as we get into our leads second rocks.
So it looks like that stone is in the house, and Team Bottcher is electing to remove it. Lead Karik Martin, throwing one of the few maybe peels or hit and rolls he'll throw in the game.
Now, Jeff, we see an early lead here for Team Bottcher, but really this was not the tale of these two teams as they visited each other yesterday in the 1-2 game in a very tight battle.
Yeah, it was really close, and Brendan had to make a humdinger in the end just to win the game, and it was close. He threw it, he made it, but a double run for one is never ideal when you have the hammer in the last end.
Well, we can be expecting to see some really great shots here, as just seemed to kind of navigate the end of last end and to, well, really bring down the scoring potential for Team Bottcher. Karsten making a double on his last attempt to bring down the score for Team Bottcher to only a deuce.
Yeah, it was looking like a field goal throughout that entire end, and then a double in the end, and it wasn't the easiest double. The rocks were touching each other, and sometimes those can be a little more difficult, but executed expertly by Karsten Sturmay, and now they're going to try to manufacture a deuce of their own in this end.
If we're thinking about both teams' journey here to the final through the Tour Championship, Team Bottcher taking the shorter route, having that bye in the first round in the A, then defeating Team Parent and Team Molding in that A qualifier, and then defeating Team Sturmay in the 1-2 game. And alternately, Team Sturmay taking a little bit of a longer route, but qualifying through the B event, defeating Team Myers in the A, and then losing on to Team Molding, coming back in with a win over Warren Cross, and then Team Parent, and then again, Team Molding. And then, of course, the semifinal where we saw Karsten take a really great win this morning over Team Molding to set them up here for a fantastic final.
Yeah, they're playing solid, and playing in that semi sometimes can be helpful for a team. They've already played today. They're maybe a little more primed, and we'll see this Sturmay team make a ton of shots in this game. And we know, having watched this Bottcher team for the last few years and with this particular lineup at the Briar this year, how many shots they're going to make. So I think we're in for a good one, Ev.
Well, and in conversation with Brendan just prior to the game, him and his team did recognize that the ice has changed a little bit more since the last time they were out on the ice, recognizing that it's curling a little bit more today. And, in that second end there, Glenn Venance here throwing this stone, getting tricked a little bit with some of that curl, crashing early and really allowing Team Bottcher to take advantage of those misses and scoring that deuce.
Yeah, it was a bit of the swing point in the end. Is just got maybe not recognizing how much the ice curled and over curling a couple times on those guards did open the door. And I'm sure by now they'll all have a handle on it, but it could be the tail that Team Bottcher just picked it up sooner. So, short run back being asked of Mr. Brad Thiessen right now.
Jansen off and on it here. Really close. Just catches the edge of it. Bottcher gets it through the rings.
All right.
Routine for Thiessen.
Yeah, he would have loved to stick around there to potentially uphold the force, but I think we might see a pretty simple end for the rest here, unless Team Sturmay wants to go at it, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we might just hit this one out. And
Karsten would know better than anybody else here that to score points against Team Bottcher, he is going to have to put rocks in play and not just hope for some misses, but really use his team strength and precision to generate their own points to get back up here and even out this game.
Yeah, it goes back to Caleb Bourse's first one in this end, entering the house. It allowed Team Bottcher to hit it immediately, and that's one guard that they didn't have. So when you're playing against a team like Bottcher, and they only have to make one guard disappear, it's probably likely to happen.
Well, and with $8,000 on the line here for the winner of this event and the trophy and the title of Tour Championship, you really want to make sure that you're putting all your efforts out there, and Bottcher's not going to make any exceptions. Not at all. These teams are here to win, and these are two of the top teams in Alberta over the last few years, and they've met in provincial finals. They've played each other a ton of times, and I think this is going to be a slugfight right till the end. Third rocks, Chris Kennedy. Just an easy weight takeout here out in the wing as we see it. Borse staying down. Nice roll to the center. Does it stay in the rings?
Slide out. It looks like it's not. So Pat Jansen, the opportunity to maybe get a little more draw weight here.
An opportunity to apply a little bit of late pressure here in the third end. That accuracy is just so key.
Oh, it's up the lineup. You see it with all the way through from lead to skip on both of these teams for sure. Especially like Kark Martin, he was the first team All-Star at the Briar this year. Just had an excellent event, played terrific throughout. And Caleb Bourse actually has been away from the game competitively for a couple of years here, so it's nice to see him back in the competitive environment. It seems like he hasn't missed a step. Karsten's been super impressed with how he's played this whole weekend. So he always had the talent. You never really lose it, do you?
And this is Caleb's home club here. He sits as a board of directors here for the Leduc Curling Club. So he might have a little bit of edge here just playing on these sheets once in a while, more often than the other teams.
Well, he had just a wonderful junior career. Won everything there was to win, in Alberta especially. And
well, that's just it. Once you know how to compete, it is like riding a bike, though with Advil, I might say.
Maybe for you.
You come back in, takes a couple of games to get the rust off, and then you're ready to go. And with a team like Team Sturmay, the way they communicate, their processes, their systems in place to help them be successful, all it takes is to just be part of those conversations, and you really are back in action.
Well, and this is the same lineup that played together in junior, winning an Alberta junior title.
And that might be something for Team Sturmay this week as it got them through that long road up into this final here today. Comfortability with one another, friendship and comfortability too as well, and just being able to play out there a little bit more loose and have a good time doing it too as well.
It looks like they're having a blast. It's awesome. It's what it's all about.
And hometown favorites.
Yeah, you
Karsten,
bet.
hailing out of the Leduc Curling Club and representing the Leduc Curling Club for many years.
Right on the nose. A couple more of those, and then maybe one that's coming a little faster to roll out. And
now Karsten will just have to keep that back red in mind there as it's out of play for jam potential. Though with these teams' skill, really misses like that, they don't happen very often. But early on in the game, while they're still learning to understand the ice, you might see some of these mistakes more often.
it could be, and this is the spot, same piece going the opposite direction, but that Brendan with his first one in the second end actually curled more than he thought it would and rolled, giving the double potential on Karsten's last one. So this spot may curl, and if it comes up maybe a little more than Karsten's anticipating, the jam in the back could come into play, but I would bet a lot of money that they know that. And this one's not going to be moving slow.
Yeah. Choosing the right speed here for this broom really shows that he's not going to play around with that back rock back there. He's going to make sure that rock leaves with ease.
He's really not concerned if his shooter sticks around either. The end result after Brendan's done throwing is going to be the same. Likely there's one yellow going to be left in the rings. So Karsten's making sure that's the smart way to play that shot.
And depending on where Bottcher puts this, it will determine, which direction, which turn that Karsten plays that blank end with, that peel for the blank end. Brendan just getting a little bit of feedback from his front end before he prepares to throw his rock here.
So we're going to try to leave this one in potentially a new spot that Team Sturmay and Karsten maybe haven't seen to this point. So could elicit a mistake.
And just watching from the pregame practice and where Brendan put the broom down there in his decision for that draw, maybe noticing a little bit of a dished sheet shape as we're looking at it here.
Yeah, definitely. Like that was only a couple feet of ice, and it did curl to the edge of the 12-foot, but it was certainly less curl than we've seen to the middle.
Karsten recognizing that it's a straighter turn, and he's going to elect to play his in turn there for the peel.
I think he might whip this one across the face with the out turn. Karsten throws bombs. If he throws it super hard. So if this hits 15/16 of that rock, it's still leaving town.
And a great shot by Karsten Sturmay. And a blank end, keeping the score 2-0 for Team Bottcher as we move into the fourth end. 2.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50. Please, play responsibly.
Down for the long run now. Red Corvette and my drop top down. Calling up my digits in my Motorola, and I'm speeding like I robbed someone. Falling and I'm a whip, yeah. Out in Fairfax, going hard in the pitch.
So lead rocks here in the fourth end as we rejoin after our commercial break. Caleb Bohr starting us off with a corner guard after lead Karg Martin puts his first stone nice and tight to the rings.
Nice corner guard there by Caleb Bors after his bit of a slip up in the last end, having his guard slide into the rings. Executes that one exactly where Karsten wanted it. There's room behind it for another corner if they choose, which we might see. But if we are correct in noticing that it's curling a little less to the wings, the height of that corner might be helpful, allowing them to get in behind it.
I was just going to say, yeah, a couple of draws ago, that guard would have been maybe way too long and a lot of play could happen behind it. But today, with the ice straightening out just a little bit more.
To the wings.
To the wings. Tons of opportunity.
I think we might see a little more curl to the middle, but yeah, I think your Hawkeye assessment there of the sheet being a bit dished is correct.
Karg just finds the back of the button. Now, interesting play here. Karsten initially using his broom to kind of discuss creating a couple more corner guards and a couple more opportunities to hide some stones. However, choosing to play the freeze here with Caleb's second stone.
I think he wants to use that yellow stone that sits at the back of the button to his advantage. It's not in the best spot. Kark would have loved that to be a couple feet higher in the house. So Karsten sees the opportunity to maybe use the back of the house to his advantage for some freezes and build the end that way. They have their corner guard up that can't be peeled even with the next rock. So
now we know the run back potential of Brad Thiessen and how he makes those on a daily basis. Do you think that's something that Karsten thinks about as he's making and deciding these kinds of shots, playing around the center line, knowing that yellow is potential to clear everything out?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to find a player on Team Bottcher that doesn't have that run back potential, on either team for that matter. So I think with a guard that tight, and it's probably thrown there on purpose, that's definitely in Karsten's mind where he can go that's not going to be in danger. Just basically nowhere. He needs to have something behind his stone in order for it to still be around and win that angle battle in the middle. He asked for Brad to be right on top here of that yellow in the house. Boys are on it early.
Sturmay sliding just a little deep, creating this opportunity here. However, it looks like it's just going to over curl and touch that center line just a bit. Missed opportunity for Bottcher to put some early pressure on in this end.
He left it in a pretty decent spot that it actually takes away that play from the middle where Karsten may have been able to get at that rock. So I think he might give it a go. I'm not sure it curls that much. I think he has to address the middle and just make sure that he doesn't get himself into giving up a steal situation here.
Now, knowing that he needs some guards to generate some points or multiple points, might he choose a lower weight shot here and maybe move those guards around?
He certainly could. It has some risk with it, but I think if you're in a 2-point deficit against a team like Bottcher, risk is something you're going to have to be okay with. 2 doesn't seem like a lot, but as good of a team as Team Bottcher is, two's enough.
So notice here how he's playing the rock touching the center line and using that as the rock to hit and roll off of underneath his red corner.
Well, he already has that corner, so he might as well play to that side. If he could ever roll this on the rings, that would be outstanding. But I think leaving this in play, and like you mentioned, with that lighter weight, I think is a really smart call. Audible, plan B here.
Over curling a little bit, but able to drive it back and hit that other stone off of the back of the button. Really opening up the scoring area now.
That plays pretty well, to be honest. It does leave his rock and his thrown rock in a great spot if it needs to be ran into the rings at some point, and they're sitting shot stone at the back. Sometimes those misses that go a little deep and end up in the back of the house get ignored and end up on the scoreboard later. So, as we just saw in the crowd, the great Don Bartlett is here, and the coach of Team Bottcher. The Donnie B3 is something he made famous in the back of the house.
Without flaw this time. Thiessen able to wrap his second stone around top 4. Really great adjustment from Thiessen there after just touching the guard on his first one.
So Karsten might get a little creative here with the angles, and if he can hit enough of that yellow and just graze the top half of the red guard that sits close to the center line, it could knock it just enough to be back into the house, and he could sit second and third with a corner guard up. So building an end really well here, Karsten and Team Sturmay. Really well executed.
Glenn will be happy with that after last end here.
Yeah, he had a tough second end. So, but those are two really good shots thrown there by Glenn Van Ants. Pride of Kitscotty, Alberta.
You know, we see Karsten's team take the time in between shots to really get the feedback that they need to be successful with the next shots and the shots coming up. And it seems that, you know, when there are misses or when there are shots made, the teams are collecting that information, then they're able to take it back to produce more shots throughout the rest of the end here.
Yeah, they really try hard to close that loop every time. And what could have they done in that shot to increase the odds that it was made, or just back-to-back terrific shots on this sheet. That rock was mostly buried. And Pat Jansen got just enough of it, made the hit and roll. Team Bottcher sits 2 now. Really well done. After just an outstanding shot by Glenn Van Ants before to come off the one guard, top half the other one, knock it behind cover. This is outstanding curling.
Kennedy being asked to hit and roll.
Yeah, they could make the double now, but I think they just leave a double back for Team Bottcher, and we might see another blank. So I think
looks tight early.
Get the double by accident here.
Van Ants really leaning on that broom. Catch their own.
Worse yet, yeah.
You know, and that's just knowing the paths too as well. It's still only the early in the game, still the fourth end, halfway through the game. But maybe seeing some slight changes along the center line there.
Yeah, it could curl a bit more from the center line to the 8 foot. As we've mentioned, it might be dished out a bit and winged up on the sides, but that wouldn't impact those 4 foot lines so much. So we could see that area not curl a little more than we would, let's say, if the broom was in the middle of the 8 foot opposed to closer to the center line. Tough one there for Team Sturmay. They could have potentially been off that too and tried to let it curl a little more to make that double at the back and call the audible, but they had committed to the sweep on that. So
what is Karsten thinking here? Is he thinking, what types of shots am I going to need to get out of this end, or do I need to find a way to score?
I think both. I think he's going to try to use those yellows at the back of the house to his advantage. They're still there. He could create a pocket. He could freeze in different spots, and where this rock ends up is going to be important. So it looks like it is going to roll away, providing potentially even more stuff for Team Sturmay to use to generate their points.
Well, you know, that rock just thrown by Pat Jansen slid just behind the tee line, but also in behind that corner guard. Is that something that Sturmay might use later on in the end?
He absolutely could. Big shot here for Chris Kennedy. He can get this in a good spot, frozen to that top shot stone. It complicates things for Team Bottcher, depending on the angle of where the freeze is made here.
Boris and Van Ants like it early. Trying to hold it now for line. Just a small tap. Really great shot.
Yeah, very nice. It might have overcurled just a hair on him, but pretty good shot. This isn't exactly straightforward to get rid of it. Brendan will likely throw this one pretty hard, but there's some jam potential.
Yeah, just a few inches in between. If he ever catches that back yellow, and just in behind it, we might see some granite fly.
Yeah, he could make quite a few go here. I can't tell from where we're at if that will bounce off the yellow rock to the side yellow rock, if there's jam possibility, but it's hard to tell from where we are. Well, I guess we'll see.
Brendan Bottcher gearing up to throw his first rock here at the fourth end.
I got a feeling this one's going to be moving. Good result there. He still left the 2 rocks in the back of the house, which is fine, but he got rid of one of those yellows, which might seem like it's something he didn't want to do because it belongs to him, but the more yellows that are around there is the more stuff that Team Sturmay can use, so by design.
And that corner guard thrown by Caleb Boris now being utilized. The whole end it took for that corner guard to finally come into play.
And we could see a skip's deuce out of it here. We saw a rock buried behind it early after Glenn made a really good shot, and Pat Jansen followed it with a great shot of his own to get rid of it. And it looked like it was mostly buried, but I think Karsten might want to, if anything, bury this a little over buried to the board side, just to maybe bait Brendan into trying to play it on the other side than the side they already saw and made with Pat's rock. As we mentioned before, it is a high corner, so. Top 8 fully buried would be, if he could walk it down, that's where he'd want it.
Line looks good as we see it on our screen. Just keeping that rock moving as it's starting to take on some late curl.
Treating it like it's heavy, but
Well, those rocks have been finishing so hard at the end that the speed has almost been coming out of them, as you noticed in the semifinal game. Some of the teams getting caught on how it just comes into the house, and as it's just finishing up that curl, that the life just seems to come right out of the stone.
Yeah, and what a great shot there by Karsten Sturmay. Just perfect. Maybe he's overburied it just a little bit. That like I mentioned, might bait Team Bottcher to try it on this outturn side that they haven't seen. Don't know how much it curls. If it is winged up, it might curl a lot. We're not too sure. But just a terrific execution there. Well thrown, well brushed by Team Sturmay. This could lead to their second point on the board. Looks like Team Bottcher's elected to just tap this back. He's taking a significantly less amount of broom than Karsten Sturmay did on his last shot. So,
well, and if Brendan knows anything here, it's to put this rock in a good spot out of his hand and allow Pat to call the line and his sweepers to manage that, to capture as much as they can of that stone.
If I had these guys sweeping, I'd do that too.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, they're good.
They certainly are. So as we often see, a really good shot can lead to an extra point on the board, and that's what Karsten's first shot is. He was excellent, perfect draw around, and then led to a mistake from Brendan Bottcher, and now it's a open draw to the 8-foot to tie this game up.
Sturmay ready to throw his stone here. Last rock of the fourth end, draw for 2.
Boys like it out of his hand. Just a clean there from Caleb Boris.
Guiding eyes by Venance as they dust this rock here into the top 8, top 4.
Hang 2 on the board, tie game.
And while we go into commercial break, if you want to head over to Curling Alberta's website to pick yourself up a 50-50 draw for today's draw.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50. Please, play responsibly.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
There's lots of reasons.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50 jackpot today. One draw on Sunday. Already over $4,000. You can head over to the Curling Alberta website to pick up your 50-50 online digital ticket. So you have a chance to win that jackpot. As we get our first stones here going into the fifth end of a 2-2 tie between Team Sturmay and Team Bottcher. Finishing up with Martin's first stone of this end. Karsten Sturmay asking Caleb Borst here to freeze on top at the top 12 of the stone just thrown by Bottcher's team.
Well, Karsten Sturmay is going to try really hard to get a force here. They're going to want Team Bottcher to just take 1 point, or if they can get a potential steal. Whereas Team Bottcher would be totally fine blanking this fifth end out and then taking the hammer into the sixth in that 2-hammer-to-1 situation.
Well, and if you watched their 1-2 game, or if you were looking at the line scores on Curling Alberta's website or on Curling Zone, you notice that 1-2 game really was a game of scoreboard management, very low scoring game, and it came down to one big shot at the very end by Brendan Bottcher to secure the win.
Well, that's likely going to be the case here. It's going to come down to who has the hammer in the last end. Especially after Team Sturmay answered with that two of their own in the last end. This one's going to be close, and yeah, whoever has the hammer and who has the rock in the hand to end the game is likely going to be the difference.
It's what we expect out of the top teams in curling, not only in our province but across the nation and the world. Of those games to come down to last stone, last end of the event.
Absolutely, you see it in all the big competitions. You see it. We saw it in the Olympics this year in the semifinal game. It just mattered who had the hammer in the end, and that might be the case here today too.
Which is kind of like a game in itself, really. There's the game, and then there's throwing shots and making plays and being strategic, but there's also strategy about managing the scoreboard too as well.
Well, if you look at what Team Bottcher won by winning that 1-2 game, it was the hammer, because they're still playing the same team they played in the 1-2 game, but they have the hammer.
And of course, last stone advantage here in this event of the 2022 Boston Pizza Tour Championship, that last stone gets determined based upon the ranking coming out of the 1-2 game for this game here, with Bottcher having the hammer to start.
Absolutely. It was massive. So Team Bottcher spreading things out there with Kark's second stone. Team Sturmay is going to want to bring the play back to the middle here. So Glenn Van Ants being asked to, I think, freeze another one on top. I didn't get exactly what the call was, but somewhere near the center line in the house.
Van Ants just sliding a little bit deep into the back 8, back 12. Now, the sweepers liked that early there, but then noticed and recognized as it got closer to the house that it was sliding a little bit further than they expected.
The ice might be speeding up a hair here in the fifth end.
Maybe just catching a hot path from the rock before.
Good call here from Team Bottcher. Just peel off the front. They'd rather take play into the house and keep things a little simple. The last thing they want to do here is give up a steal and lose that advantage that they have by being tied with the hammer. Team Sturmay is going to assume a little risk here by continuing to throw the center, which makes sense based on their current scoreboard situation.
These two teams know each other so well. Once this guard is made, when might we see Brendan's team, make that choice to go into the rings?
Well, I think if Team Sturmay throws one too many, and we just sort of saw that missed, so that may not be that detrimental. It'd be hard to get a steal behind that stone, as the button will always be exposed if they try to use that guard to hide their stone. And I believe this here now is a hit to sit 3, which would really put the pressure on Team Sturmay and make them question the tactics of throwing another guard or trying to make that better. They might have to go in defense mode and try to limit the damage. You see that often, those guards. They're difficult shots to make. It's a combination of weight and line on those, and you seem like, well, just lob a guard up, no problem. But they're actually difficult shots. You have to be as precise with those as draws. It's just in a different – you're making the rock stop in a different portion of the ice. Equally as precise.
And you saw just before Brendan put the broom down there that he kind of took a look over his shoulder to make sure that jam wasn't there.
Just caught that one a hair thin. I'm not sure that rock rolled on the rings. Maybe they were taking a look at it. Either way, we're going to see a hit here from Team Sturmay. Make the hit and roll, and then they could be setting themselves up for a force. Got a good one coming in here. There's the hit. There's the roll.
Beautifully under that guard.
Great shot, Chris Kennedy. Well done.
And Chris has been impressive this whole entire week, really being a great force for Karsten, making their way to this final.
He's a talented player. He's played third for Karsten before. More recently, he's been tasked at playing second, but it's not like him going up and playing third in this event is in any way new or foreign to him. He's played a lot of that position and for Karsten, so lots of familiarity there. Run back being attempted here by Pat Jansen. Just didn't come up for him.
However, left himself a corner guard there that might be able to be used later on.
So Team Sturmay has two options here. They can continue the guard game and try to, if they think that rock there may be good enough for them to potentially steal with, or they can just uphold the force. And by hitting second shot here, that's what they're talking about now. That would accomplish that for them. Because if they can get the force here in the fifth end, they're still in a really good spot scoreboard wise. They'll have 2 hammers to 1, albeit with a 1-point deficit, but not a bad spot to be.
Chris Kennedy looking to hit and stick on the nose here. Sit 3.
He's made a peach of a hit and roll in his last one, so
should be close. Little bit of an inside flop.
Pretty good. And now the force is on for Team Bottcher, so you might see the gears shift where they might actually just try to get their 2 instead. if you're forced and you're going to be forced to score, you might as well be forced to score too, hey?
He's leaning on the broom here, trying to hold it straight. Just a wonderful roll.
Absolutely perfect.
And just like we saw how Sturmay's team generated that deuce in the last end, that corner guard again left by Jansen on his first shot really has come into play here.
Well, he kind of didn't miss the run back bad enough to lose that when he threw it. So he was close enough to running that straight back that it did stick around, and that'll help them. Like now it's the pressure's on. 2 bullets left for Team Sturmay. They're going to have to figure out a way to keep this to 1 score. Just a wonderful hit and roll there made by Pat Jansen. Good sweep by Brad, too. I guess we'll give him credit.
Give him a little bit of credit. You know, and both of these teams really being able to get something out of every shot, which is probably one of the reasons why they're here playing in this final today.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of misses, full misses from either team. They get, like you said, they get something out of every single shot, and then more often than not, they execute it perfectly, like we just saw there. But even if they don't, it's close enough, and there's still some value in the shot they just threw. So I think the freeze has been selected here as the shot of choice for Karsten Sturmay. Not a lot of real estate here for this to be in. That sit shot rock behind cover and frozen on that. This one's going to have to be good.
Sturmay settling into the hack here for his first rock in the 5th end. Trying to find the corner freeze.
Boys are picking him up early here. We noticed this spot does curl. So if anything, I would have said that they're going to have to go on this. And just by. Terrific sweep.
However, all that sweeping really left the chap in the roll off to the back of the forefoot.
But they may have moved the yellow enough to sit 2. For red to be sitting 2. That might have been the call after all, is to actually chip it over so they can get the force that way. It did leave a double here for Brendan Bottcher. Looks from our vantage point to be a relatively routine double. If made, I believe there'll be a double back from Karsten Sturmay. Nothing yet. There we go.
Just a little thick.
That double was harder than it looked like from where we are. Not even sure it was there, but
so not quite getting the roll he needed on his first one here this end, leaving Sturmay the opportunity to address that stone and maybe sit 2.
yeah, he's going to want to roll away. If he leaves it right where it is, there will be a double for Brendan Bottcher to score his 2 points. So Team Sturmay is going to want to roll this rock as far as they can away. And try to uphold the force here. So it looks like they're actually electing to roll this under, which will work. If he can get a good angle on this and roll it under towards his redstone, he'll still uphold the force that way by sitting 2, and it would be behind cover. It's potentially risky. If he rolls on top of it, there could be a shot for 2, but either way, he has to roll, and he's elected to roll towards his shot, his second shot rock. So we saw a Herculean sweep from Glenn on the last one to hold it, just narrowly get by that guard.
A little bit of finish out of Gorse.
Is there enough room for the double?
Is there enough room for the double and to keep your shooter around in the back of the house?
Good question. Don't think so. I think it's, yeah, goal achieved. It's high enough. I don't think there's a double there. I think it's just a hit for one for Brendan Bottcher. So objective achieved from Team Sturmay, if that's the case. Big sweep here from Karek. No. Racks on the guard. We saw that spot curl, and I don't know if Brendan maybe didn't take enough ice there or threw it lighter than he wanted, but that looks like a 2-steal from Team Sturmay.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50. Please, play responsibly.
So a last stone miss in the fourth end and a steal of 2 for Team Sturmay brings the score up 4-2.
Uncharacteristic from Brendan Bottcher. Either he slid a little snug or he helped it with his release or threw it a little light. We're not sure what the cause was or the combination there, but either way, giant miss. 2-steal in the fifth end. 2-point lead for Team Sturmay. Now it's all offense from Team Bottcher. They're going to want that back.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with himself over that one. However, 5-rock rule, tons of opportunity to generate some offense. And if there's a team that knows how to do it in big games, it will be Team Bottcher that'll be able to.
They've played in enough of them, won their fair share.
Yeah, we just saw a few rocks up that path, and even Karsten's backline weight there shot to chip out that red moved quite a bit. And so just wondering if teams are not catching up on that spot in particular.
Yeah, we'd noticed that spot was going to curl, and if anything, he probably needed more ice, and it was a combination of not enough ice, maybe light, and probably more than one cause, but either way, catastrophic, really.
Well, and it's easy for us over here.
I've never missed from the booth. How about you?
Once or twice.
Maybe we'll ask him after the game what happened.
Maybe.
See what he says.
He might not want to talk to us.
Well, he won't, for sure. Unless he comes back and wins.
And for those viewers who are watching this, it's a really great opportunity to see what teams are doing in this scenario, being down by 2, playing the fifth end here, recognizing that there's a corner guard and then 2 rocks along the center line. Now, the no-tick rule is not in play here at this event.
It isn't. You're allowed to do it.
Like we've seen at the World Championships, recently at the Women's World Championship.
I think Team Bottcher is going to be a little patient here as well. I think what Brendan's probably telling himself in his head is I need 2, then I need to force, then I need 2 again, and then I win the game. So I don't think they're going to push to try to get it all back or to gain a lead or anything like that. I think they'll probably take what's given to them, and that in these situations often is a simple 2. He's got rocks in play. He has a guard up, a corner guard. There's a center guard up. He has things he can use to his advantage here, and Team Sturmay is going to try to clean things up here as this end goes on.
And a great sweep by Kennedy there to get that rock to hit face. And Thiessen asked here to chase that stone, get a little bit flop underneath. The women's final of the Tour Championship is being played next door to our sheet here, with featuring Team Sturmay on the ladies' side versus Team Skurlik. Abby Marks, the usual third for Team Sturmay, taking over skipping duties this weekend, leading that team to success right now with a 4-1 lead playing in the 5th end. If you'd like to capture that game, you can head over to Curling Stadium, or you can find the line scores on curlingalberta.ca or Curling Zone. Leduc has been good to the Sturmays.
Absolutely. There's even the eldest Sturmay's name is embossed in the rafters here. Athena.
Must be that hometown spirit.
Must be. A lot of winning.
And speaking of that hometown spirit, the Leduc Curling Club has been fantastic, drawing in great crowds here this week, all week. Viewers upstairs and downstairs taking advantage of some of Alberta's greatest curling, finishing off the year for the Alberta Curling Tour to help name some champions here moving into the next season.
So it's time to play it into the house for Team Bottcher. The come around being called from the big left-hander, Brad Thiessen. Picked this one up early, and just a terrific sweep there by Pat Jansen and Kark Martin. Get that by. Slid a couple feet deep on them, but I think they'd take that over racking on the top, so well done, well swept.
The management is impeccable, Jeff.
They
Really
can do
is.
a lot with that stone. They're big fellas who put a lot of weight down on the broom.
Well, and it just goes to show for all people watching, and for even our young junior curlers that are participating here this week in some of the events, that, you know, it's the whole team shot, and those two sweepers and the line caller really can manage and make a ton of the shots for the throwers and for their team if they're just doing their job and their role.
Well, and oftentimes the thrower just has to be close, and the sweepers do the rest when they're this good. They're usually better than close, but that's why the precision can be what it is.
Really diving towards that center line guard.
That took a move.
Just rubbing off the back side of that stone. Benam's trying to sweep it just a little bit so it can't be used by Team Bottcher to come off of. I'm surprised they were on and off that for most of the way down, and then it kind of made a big jump there.
It looked like it. It took a big move. I imagine it just curled. We saw Brad's previously do the same in that spot, so they may have just been a second late on the line call there, or the weight wasn't exactly what they figured. But either way, just a whisker from getting by, and now it's advantage Bottcher.
No, not all lost for Team Sturmay. They have that top red there that's in a good position. They can see almost all of it.
Well executed there by Pat Jansen. Team Bottcher sitting 2. And the hammer.
There still is a little bit of room there for Sturmay. You might see him maybe avoid playing the run back and try to get another one here.
Yeah, the run back's tough. And this is, I mean, even if they get an angle on it, they can use it later. They just need to get this in a spot that they can either use or is sitting second shot. potentially even shot.
You know, Jeff, though, I sit here and see the scoreboard and Sturmay being up 2 points, and then I look at the amount of stones in play, and it makes you kind of wonder what kind of game Sturmay is being drawn into here.
He didn't have a choice. He couldn't have peeled at any point, and he was only hitting rocks in the house. So you see that. How did you let this happen? How did you let this many rocks in play? And it's very easy to do, especially when the first rocks can't be peeled. So this one made a move again. There's a little more room here. It looks good. Chris is going to be happy with the result there.
Rocks starting to pile up along the center line here in the fifth end.
Looks like yellow's shot at the back of the button.
The closing down of the scoring area for Bottcher might be a little problematic here as he's trying to figure out how to score a couple of points here.
Yeah, things are getting tight. And this outturn side that he's looking at right now for Pat to throw is still available. It's framed right to the button there for him. So if they can negotiate that port and put their rock top button sitting too, it creates some problems for Team Sturmay.
Boy, if you were to ever miss here, you'd probably want to miss a little heavy.
I don't think he wants to miss it all. This is a pretty big shot.
Keeping another stone in the rings. He's found the port. Now, where is it going to end up? It's a really nice shot.
Pretty well done. Yeah, absolutely. It leaves yellow sitting the two as far as we can tell.
It just looks how it's all angled up in there that it's all those yellows are going to jam on those reds off to the side and behind the tee line.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's queued up there. At least one of the two shot stones looks like the angle's going straight back. I think Team Sturmay is okay with giving up two here. I don't think they'd be too fussed about that, knowing that they would be tied with the hammer. So they might be in a limit the damage situation right now. So we didn't get an indication of what the actual call is here, but it looks like they're trying to negotiate the same port or take it away with a guard. I wasn't sure what was decided on. Somewhere in that path, though.
When Sturmay really has the angles as we see it here on the left-hand side of our screen, really locked up.
I think you're right, though, Evan. If they try to hit anything in any of those yellows, they potentially could jam at the back, leaving a bonanza available for Team Bottcher.
Well, just for Jansen's rock landed there at the top of the button, just couldn't have been any more perfect.
I think we got a good one here, too. Now it's just about who's shot.
And as the dust settles, it looks like
Yellow
Team Bottcher's yellow shot stone there on the button, surrounded by the two Sturmay stones.
And they're both in great spots. It's advantage Sturmay on the angles here. If what we see is what we think it is, it's going to be tough for Team Bottcher to navigate a second rock in there.
And just good shots coming out of Team Sturmay, one after another, really putting a ton of pressure on Team Bottcher.
Yeah, Chris Kennedy's last was outstanding, and Karsten's first there was Just terrific. Well thrown, well managed.
And kind of born out of the momentum of giving up that steal to Team Bottcher and really providing that momentum back to Team Sturmay.
Definitely. So they might be trying to kick that yellow up the back half of it by throwing it hard at that back redstone, just enough to spin up and knock that yellow that sits directly behind Shot Rock higher in the house. So a little creative use of angles here from Team Bottcher. Certainly there.
Looks like it's gonna capture the top red there, spilling tons of stones out of the 4-foot.
Interesting. Where they had the broom, I didn't see that as the shot, but it spilled enough around, and it actually made some room for Team Bottcher potentially. Looks like there's still shot one, maybe. Hard to tell.
We got that side angle, Jeff. We don't got the Hawkeye view like the rest of our spectators. If I'm gonna guess, I'm thinking it's probably one yellow sitting there. What do you
think so. I think so. It's from our vantage point. It's difficult to tell, but that's what I'm going with.
And if we're wrong, we're not looking at the live chat on YouTube, so we have no idea what other people are saying.
Totally good.
If we're wrong and they're right, that's okay.
It's absolutely
yeah.
Okay. Freeze attempt here from Karsten Sturmay. Well, since that yellow's at the back of the button too, if he can put this in a good spot, it might be Steel Town.
Really trying to close down the scoring area for Team Bottcher here and put themselves in a potential position to steal one or even two. Vanant's trying to work the curl out of this stone here to get to as close to the face of the yellow as they possibly can and not leave an opening for Bottcher to in off on.
Good shot.
Incredible brushing to get that stone to finish up there. Looks like Bottcher's going to be taking a crack at the corner run back.
It could be for 4, but
my goodness.
Maybe not. It's hard to tell. But
or the game.
The run triple. Run double, run triple, whatever, how the angles work out. If it's made, though, this Leduc curling club's going to erupt.
And we're going to go home.
I don't think so. It'd only be a 2-point lead. If it's missed, we have a better chance of going home.
Giving the fans what they want. Brendan Bottcher here. Last stone of the 6th end.
Showtime.
Just misses the double there at in the 4-foot, giving Sturmay another steal of 1 point.
Just a little bit thicker than they wanted there. That would have just been a slight bit thinner. I think he's close. 3-point lead.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50. Please, play responsibly.
Seventh end action here at the 2022 Alberta Boston Pizza Tour Championships, sponsored by Boston Pizza and Leduc Co-op. My goodness, what an exciting finish to that sixth end there.
Well, yeah, there was a couple of openings there that were given to Team Sturmay, and boy, did they take advantage. Just terrific freezes made at 3 in a row by the back end on Team Sturmay. One on Chris Kennedy's last, and then 2 just terrific shots from Karsten Sturmay set that up. And a circus shot from Brendan Bottcher attempted on his last that was just about made. I think if they put the brushes to it a little earlier, it's probably made, but
well, it makes you wonder about that miss on Brendan's first shot and even the call itself on his first shot.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell from where we're at what the call actually was on that first shot. And since, yeah, we can't hear the player, so we didn't know what he was potentially doing. But either way, Team Bottcher's in a hole, and it's time to go for them. It's a 3-point deficit, seventh end. They're going to need some help to come back in this one, and they're going to be full out points mode.
Well, if we're thinking about help, we really want to thank Sheldon Hay and Tara Tranter from Boston Pizza and Rick Polasek from the Leduc Co-op, as well as Steve Young, the Curling Alberta president, and Leduc Curling Club and their board of directors, Don Gavin, Caleb Boris, Nadine Moraski, and Andrea Proctor, Janet Guthrie from Leduc Sport and Tourism too as well, and our ice makers, Tim's Ice Manufacturing, for a marvelous event so far and for creating tons of great curling opportunities here for the Leduc Curling Club and for their juniors that they participated in with throughout the event.
Yeah, it's been a pretty amazing event throughout the course of the weekend, and you can just tell all the time and energy that goes into planning an event like this, and it comes through with the successful execution that we've seen this weekend.
If you ever want to capture again any of these games or some of the hot shots and the juniors playing throughout this event, you can head on to Curling Alberta's Facebook page or onto YouTube, and you can rewatch some of those awesome events that were here throughout this week.
So 2 corner guards go up for Team Bottcher, and Glenn Van Ants being asked to, I think, choke off this recently thrown corner guard. If they can get in the way, make it more difficult for Team Bottcher to use this corner. It'll be a made shot. Looks like it's going to be just what the skipper ordered. Maybe a little deep. Maybe a little. He would have liked that a few feet higher, so it's getting in the way. I believe now it's only helping.
We might be seeing the benefit of playing the morning draw come into effect here for Team Sturmay.
I think you're right. I think Team Sturmay's, and they played such a good game last night in the 1-2 game against Team Bottcher, so they're coming in on a bit of a roll, which might sound odd that they had to come through the semi, and they did lose that game to Team Bottcher, but they were very close to winning it. And you know, momentum's a strange thing, and they certainly had it after this morning's game, and here we are.
You know, if we're thinking about something special between these two teams here over the last couple of years and the great curling that they have, played against one another, we know that Bob Ross of the curling world will be changing the landscape of these teams, and these teams won't actually exist coming into the next season. So this will be a little bit of a nice homage to their curling careers against one another.
Yeah, swan song for them, and yeah, they've had some battles over the years, and just being from the same city and obviously the same province, they see each other a lot, and I think that's good. It's good for development for all curlers to play against the best teams and really highly competitive games. And I think we saw that with Karsten Sturmay. He's developed a lot in the last few years, just having the opportunity to play against guys like Brendan Bottcher and Kevin Cooey in the events within Alberta.
And with that turn of the quadrennial, we really have seen some of the local teams and the more, the teams that are more frequent on the Alberta Curling Tour take that as an opportunity to maybe change up their own teams, change up their direction for the next couple of seasons. We know that the Curling Alberta Curling Tour has added way more events to help develop young and aspiring athletes coming out of juniors into adult play, but also give more opportunity for our tour teams to play more frequently and to play more locally. and to help them have that opportunity to, prepare themselves for big events.
Well, absolutely, and it's just nice to have a more events in general in Alberta. There's more option to play, and you'll see it. If it's easier for teams to play in events, they're going to play in them, and I think that's what we're seeing. So, and I think that like you mentioned, that development piece there for coming out of juniors and having an arena to play in and get to play against really good teams is just expediting their development into the men's game.
Well, Jeff,
or women's game on the ladies' side.
The people of Alberta and curling clubs and the curling community is really inspired by all the great curling that we've had in the last decade. And to bring in new faces and to bring in new teams and to really freshen things up, and also the opportunity for communities to take on more events or to have an event and to bring these teams and these people into their curling clubs, it doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely. So opportunity now for Team Bottcher. They have shot rock at the back of the 4-foot. They have 2 corner guards. They have red rocks they can freeze to. It's an okay time to be optimistic if you're a Team Bottcher fan in this end. Brad Thiessen being asked to draw around, which we would call the out-turn side for a right-handed thrower, but for him it's his in-turn. This one is nearing that guard. It looks like it's going to rack. Just a lot of curl off the wings there. I think your initial assessment, Evan, was bang on. It's a little winged up and dished to the outsides.
Well, we've seen some of the complications out of Team Bottcher here in the last few ends here, and it really just goes to show that maybe they're having a tough time really mapping out what the sheet looks like and what it's doing in each path.
It does seem that way, yeah. It seems like it's been just a bit of a struggle as to where to put the broom down. But full marks to Team Sturmay, where they're executing at a super high level and taking advantage of every opportunity given.
And really forcing Team Bottcher to try a variety of different shots too, and mapped out all across the sheet
in different paths. Yeah, they're moving it around the sheet, and
if there's one thing you want to do when your opposition is struggling a little bit, is to keep them guessing and to keep them playing more difficult shots.
And a variety, like you said, it's harder to figure out. So same path being asked here of Pat Jansen. See if he can go to school on Brad's Rock and navigate that top port. Leave this one somewhere in top of the 4.
Sweeper's off it early. Little bit heavy, they think. Maybe trying to catch the wick. Past that.
Line is good. It's got to grow teeth. It's got to stop. Will not. Struggles continue for Team Bottcher.
And late in the end, too, they're going to need to really put a few rocks together, a few shots together here to generate something, keep this game close.
Well, they've got 3 bullets left in the gun, and all 3 have to score in order to tie this game going into the last end.
Which rocks to remove is the question now for Team Sturmay.
Just getting an opportunity to listen in to Brendan as he's figuring out what's the best approach here for his team to generate some points.
The hit and roll's been selected. we know that this spot is this pretty close to the same spot that led to a 2 steal from Team Bottcher. Well done. Good shot there by Pat.
Getting a small flip underneath that corner guard and leaving the Sturmay stone just sitting open in the back 8 foot.
Looks like Karsten can see about half of it, so the removal attempt will commence here.
Now, a couple ends ago, both teams got caught on a little bit of curl in this path here. Something that'll probably be in the back of Karsten's mind as he's thinking about this shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was an important spot in the ice for them. It gave them the lead, but yeah, we do know that this spot does have the tendency to curl. It's a little further away from the center line than the exact spot where Brendan threw in the 5th end, but similar. Karsten will match his weight in line here to try to remove what I think is second shot right now.
First stone of the 7th end for Karsten Sturmay.
And there's the curl we talked about. Glenn holding it straight. And then
Trying to get some late finish here.
switching off.
Managing to touch it, but not remove it out of play. Team Sturmay sitting 1-2.
Well, now it's how is Team Bottcher going to try to turn this into a multiple score? They're sitting 3rd shot right now.
Jeff, are they going to try to look to score that rock that wasn't removed out of play?
If they can, I think they will later. But I think they're grasping a little bit, and the intern draw around that rock in the top 12 is a good call because it might force Team Sturmay to try to run their own rock back, and if it ever was missed, then the 3 would be in play. So it's well thought out. The odds of Karsten Sturmay missing a run back that's that short aren't high, but that's what Team Bottcher's dealing with right now. So
When your opposition has been throwing pistols for the better part of the game, you really got to put some pressure on him now to keep yourself alive.
well, exactly. There's a few options, none of them any good. So you have to choose one. But if it like I mentioned, if this is put in a good spot and they do get a rare miss from Karsten Sturmay, it could be a tie game.
And you might notice some of the speed come out of it as it works its way across the center line here. Just hooking around that top 12 one, getting maybe a third buried, 2/3 buried.
So they would have liked that deeper because the closer together those rocks are, the easier this run back is. And for a player of Karsten Sturmay's caliber, this might as well be a nose hit. So I like his chances on this. And if they could have got the depth of that Yellowstone to somewhere maybe in the back 8, he may not even have thrown the run back. It might have been a freeze situation, but
Carson's really taking a look at this.
I think it's more about where he wants to leave his shooter in the contact rock, because they don't want to lose both, because then it's an easy hit for 2. So they want to. That would be difficult to do, mind you, but
Sturmay settling in for his last stone of the 7th end, looking to make the short run. just avoids the jam at the back.
I think it's
good for 1, 2, 3.
I think so. Yeah, good shot. Well done. And they narrowly avoided that jam at the back, but
and really great sweeping by Van Aerts and Force to make sure that the rock and the shooter stay in play.
Again, extremely high level of execution from Team Sturmay. They're just not giving Team Bottcher an inch, and good for them. Their precision's been on point all game, and it's nice to see.
Needing a draw out of their skipper here to keep them alive. Brendan Bottcher, final stone, 7th end. Sweepers like it. Just making sure it's good as it crosses that slide path.
And count it.
Single point brings our score 5-3 for Team Sturmay as we head into the 8th and final end of our Tour Championship.
Win big with Curling Alberta's 50-50. Please, play responsibly.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston pizza at home.
Down for the long run now. Red Corvette and my drop top down. Calling up my digits in my Motorola, and I'm speeding like I robbed someone. Falling and I'm a whip, yeah. Out in Fairfax, going hard in the pit.
So our 8th and final end here of the Boston Pizza Alberta Curling Tour Championship. And in 16 stones here, we will be crowning the first Boston Pizza Alberta Curling Tour champion on the men's side. Pretty incredible game so far. Missed opportunities, taken opportunities, and Team Sturmay having the 2-point advantage.
Well, they've just been impressive. Team Sturmay has been impressive. They've executed at a much higher level than Team Bottcher and shown up on the scoreboard.
Well, you know, if you're looking at the start of this game, Jeff, and you're seeing that 2nd and that 4th end, you really notice that Bottcher coming out to a strong start with just a few key misses by the Team Sturmay, but really the last half of the game has been nothing but Team Sturmay, and really impressed with Caleb Borse and Glenn Van Aerts in the later part of this game, not only in their sweeping capacity, but really in their rock placement, setting up Team Sturmay.
Well, it's been terrific, and we saw, like you mentioned, the odd little hiccup early on in the game in the 2nd end with Glenn Van Aerts over curling a couple, leading to a deuce for Team Bottcher. But since then, it's just been excellent play by both front end players, and not even just throwing the rock. They've swept well. They've saved a couple stones, and I can think of a few just off the top of my head where we thought they were gone, but nope, the boys held it straight or got it to come up at the end. And no, you're exactly right. Really good by the two fellas on the front for Team Sturmay.
You know, you always want to put pressure on the opposing team here. And Team Sturmay has really done that on Team Bottcher today. But most importantly, they've really put a lot of pressure on Brendan's 1st and 2nd stones in every end.
Yeah, he's had tough shots. And for the most part, Karsten's made most of his, which usually leads to tougher shots for your opposing skip. You think it could have been a much different game if in that 6th end, if Brendan's rock just is a little thinner on the top contact rock. It could have been for a pile of points. So it's the way the sport is sometimes.
Well, and that fifth end really stands out on the scoreboard as we're looking at it. That steal of 2 for Team Sturmay.
Yeah, it was
an open hit miss, just a missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, and it was for 1 point, and that would have been fine. Taking their 1 point, so 3-point swing there, and here we are in the last end of the game, and then they're at a 2-point deficit. So there's that two steal, glaringly obvious, and Glenn Van Ans with another terrific shot.
And he's just gotten better throughout this whole entire game.
That might have been the game winner right there.
He's going to be happy with that one if his team, ends up succeeding in this game and taking the Tour Championship.
Yeah, he played a heck of a game. So Team Bottcher with not a whole lot of option here, but to bring the play into the house and try to maybe have Karsten looking at 2 or 3 on his last and hope for a miss.
Yeah. You never want to stand back there and say that, but truly with the caliber of both of these teams and both of these last rock throwers, you really do have to hope for that little miss and that little opportunity.
Oh, without question. And I guarantee you Karsten wasn't expecting in the fifth end for Brendan Bottcher's rock to overcurl like that and for him to miss that hit. It was probably didn't even enter his mind, but you take them when they're given to you for sure.
Just a few miscues here by the front end of Team Bottcher, allowing Team Sturmay some opportunities to clear some Yellowstones and really open up the center line and play here in the last part of this end.
And while we were bragging up Caleb Borst, his second rock did slide a little deep, which might create some opportunity for Team Bottcher, but we'll give him a pass on
It's
that.
a trap. But if you've been doing it consistently, well,
it's on purpose.
Yeah, it's on purpose. It's bound to pay off. Just a part of the game.
So in dire straits, the freeze on that Borst delivered stone at the back of the house, being called on by Pat Jansen.
And just thinking about how both these teams got here to this final, as we talked about their route and who they played to be in this championship today, Karsten has played double the amount of games this week than Team Bottcher. Really being able to learn a lot with his team throughout this event and really understand the sheet path, the stones, and put together some really great shots.
Well, and these boys are fit, so it's not like they're going to be tired from having to play those a few extra games. I think you're right. I think it was an advantage for them. They spent more time on this surface. They have a better idea of what the ice is doing in a game.
So what you're telling me is they're solid people if you were watching that Boston Pizza commercial.
Well, a couple of them,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm sure. I'm a pizza person. Maybe a pasta person.
I'm a brute man. Love the brute.
And really not a lot to go off of here for Bottcher.
It's nice freeze or draw made by Pat on his last one. So
Brendan will keep with it.
yeah, guard it up, and as we've seen in curling, anything can happen.
You can win a Brier with 3 people.
You can. We saw that.
We did. Well, I don't know if you can.
I can't.
One could.
Someone with the name
Those
Jeff
3
can,
people can.
not me.
Those 3 people can.
They're pretty good at curling.
And they're probably not pizza or brute people.
Oh, they are.
Oh, okay. And Sturmay will just keep things clear leading into Skip Stones. Chris Kennedy with the peel. Just like that.
One more guard, and then he'll have to bring his last one into the house. Leave Karsten sitting at 2 and hope for the double jam.
So for both of these teams after this event, Jeff, final stop for Team Sturmay, but definitely not the final stop for this Team Bottcher, as they have a few more events to play in.
Yeah, they have the Players in Toronto, and Champions Cup right here in Alberta, in Olds.
So what a fantastic event too as well, not only to participate in their own Alberta Tour Championship, but to also help this team get prepared in for a couple of big events later on in their season too.
Well, they're coming off the big bronze medal at the Brier, the Brier's a long week and it's difficult and probably not the result they wanted, being the defending champions. So, coming in here I think was a good reset for them, and they've played well all week. They haven't lost a game to this point. And this one's not lost yet, but
they definitely have faced a hot Team Sturmay.
Oh, absolutely. They're like I think we can say with confidence that Team Sturmay was the better team so far in this game. They've just executed with more precision.
And masters of their own success. They have played a really fantastic event this week, building themselves up for these last few stones here of the 2022 Boston Pizza Alberta Curling Tour Championship.
So there was some discussion there. I'm not sure what they settled on. Looks like the guard.
Really, that's their only option to prolong, with probably the inevitable of giving Karsten some kind of look at a double, or just an open hit on his last rock.
And he only needs to make one go away for the win, and with the weight that this young man can throw, there's really nowhere to hide. He can get one of these rocks to leave town, basically no matter where Brendan puts his last. And he has to make this peel first, which...
Small piece of inspiration there is that there's just enough room there for that rock to potentially jam on Brendan's last one there if he makes the perfect freeze.
Mm-hmm. And with the weight thrown, he just about knows that, and it's still well out of the way.
You can start to see the rustle in the crowd here as people of Leduc are starting to recognize that their hometown curler and their hometown hero team is going to have the opportunity to win the very first Alberta Tour Championship. Good rock is going to need to be made here by Team Bottcher.
Yeah, I think Ideal is right on top of nose on that yellow that sits at the back of the button, with an angle that goes directly onto that red, whatever that looks like. So there's any kind of angle on it, Karsten will sprint to the other end, throw it overhand, and we'll see some granite fly.
Really working this stone here to keep it straight and onto the face of the yellow.
Well, they're sitting too.
Make one go away.
Well, anywhere high, anywhere nose. As long as I think as long as this doesn't, if he's throwing the out turn at this, as long as this doesn't overcurl across the face and get low on the contact rock, I think they fly. So,
and just like Karsten's been doing all week, he's going to take that extra time here. He knows the value and importance of this, not only for himself, but for his team and for the people of Leduc. What a great opportunity here. Karsten Sturmay, final stone, 8th end.
He likes it. Ball game.
Just like that, you got the wave. And you've seen it here.
Champions.
Thank you to all the spectators, sponsors, athletes, and of course the commentators here of the 2022 Boston Pizza Alberta Curling Tour Championship men's final. As you see Team Sturmay there celebrate, they become the first tour championship. And this is the last stop on our road for Alberta curling for this season. We thank you all for joining us this week and for joining in every draw. Have a great last Sunday of your spring break. Take care and celebrate.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.